Welcome everyone to the Campus Pride Spotlight Series. My name is Ayla Azim, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm an intern with Campus Pride. For those who don't know, Campus Pride is a leading national nonprofit that empowers student groups and student leaders working to create equitable LGBTQ+ friendly college and university campuses. You can learn more at campuspride.org. Today I'll be interviewing the University of Michigan Ann Arbor for the Campus Pride Spotlight Series. This series is all about what today's colleges and universities offer today's LGBTQ+ students, our diverse genders and sexuality spectrum. We will highlight colleges and universities that are providing LGBTQ+ inclusivity on their campuses and learn more about their programs and services. I want to introduce to you the representative from the University of Michigan Ann Arbor now. Thank you so much for meeting with Campus Pride for the Spotlight Series. Welcome. Please introduce yourself. Please provide with us your name, your pronouns, and your role on campus.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. My name is Will Sherry. I use he and him pronouns, and I'm the director at the Spectrum Center at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Thank you so much for your introduction. It's wonderful to have you here today. Your campus has a 5 out of 5 star rating on the Campus Pride Index at campusprideindex.org, and you've been ranked among the best of the best in terms of LGBTQ+ friendly colleges and universities, so congratulations. To start out, tell us what are some things that are on your campus for LGBTQ+ life, and specifically, what does your campus do for LGBTQ+ students that creates an inclusive space?
Yeah, well, again, thanks so much for having me. It's a real honor to be able to share about our campus, about the Spectrum Center. I think, some things that I would say about that are available for LGBTQ campus life are, one, we just opened a brand new center in a renovated Michigan Union, which opened January of 2020. So that is really exciting. That provides a lot more space, a lot more updated space. So we're really excited to when we return back there in person and kind of are able to get unpacked and settled in. An exciting part of that space is that it connects to our multi-ethnic student affairs office. And so we're able to do collective programming and just collaborate across that space in new and exciting ways. I think some other things that are offered on our campus is really robust academic experiences. So we have a Department of Women and Gender Studies. We have things like an LGBTQ and sexuality minor and a research initiative called the Lesbian, Gay, Queer Research Initiative, and a variety of other kind of programs and opportunities that aren't directly delivered by the center, but are integrated across campus. And we have really robust student organizations that really lay the foundation for welcoming students and connecting them to community. So I think those are some of the things that we offer on campus.
Really cool answer. I love the student organizations and how students can minor in LGBTQ+ studies. So thank you so much for your answer. And what example can you share that signifies the importance of having a space on campus for LGBTQ+ students?
So I think that, there's like the space of the center, like the physical space of having somewhere to come to that represents aspects of yourself, that affirms who you are, where you can relax, study, like a community center. That's something that I've always really valued about the Spectrum Center for myself, for our staff, for our faculty, for our students. We've been located on the 3rd floor of the Michigan Union since we were founded, actually in 1971. So we have been on the same floor of the same building in a couple different locations. But I think that physical space has just been incredibly important. And then I think the other thing I think about is like the space a program provides. So a space that's really special every year, I think, is our Lavnder graduation. Bringing together hundreds of people to celebrate a graduation as who they are and what they want to wear, when graduation can sometimes be about performing for others. That Lavnder graduation isn't that. And it's just incredibly special and an event I love.
Really cool. I totally resonate with that completely. That's really cool. So may you please tell us more about your campus's LGBTQ plus inclusive policies, and how do students on campus feel about such policies?
I think policy work is something we've definitely been involved in as a center for a long time, but we also have a long way to go. Some of the things that we have in place are things like a name system where anyone can go into what we call our Wolverine access and update their name. Once your name is updated, it really does go most everywhere on campus. And so in some ways, that's really great. I can know that when I change my name in that system, it is going to be really far sweeping. I think one of the drawbacks of that is there isn't a lot of nuance to that system, right? Once you change your name in it, it's not like you can say, and I want mail going home to be in my legal name, but all these other things to be in my name in the system. We don't have that kind of nuance within our system. And so there are some aspects of it that you can have a lot of confidence in where it's going, but it is very wide sweeping. We also have a pronoun system where students can go in, they can add pronouns, and there's a drop down as well as an open box, and those pronouns show up in a variety of spaces, including on a faculty's course list next to someone's name, as well as for academic advisors, places like that. We also have some policies around gender inclusive housing. So making sure that students have access to the most robust and equitable housing that we can. Sometimes we have limitations with that given the age of our buildings and the facility setups that we are always working to enhance and make better. But we do have inclusive housing process, options, staff members that are devoted to making sure that students have access and know about the opportunities available. So those are some of the policies, as well as our non-discrimination policy, which includes sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression.
Really good answer. Gender inclusive housing is definitely something that's really important. Yeah.
Yes.
So in your personal opinion, why does your campus feel the need to provide spaces and resources for LGBTQ plus students?
Yeah, I was looking at thinking about this, and I mean, I think, this is, it's like both clear and hard to sort of answer this question, I think. There are so many reasons. I think when we look at experiences of queer students in higher education, we know that there are many opportunities on a campus like the University of Michigan, but those opportunities aren't always built for or accessible to everyone. And so I think when we think about like the things that are offered to University of Michigan students, there are so many things that get in the way of queer students and many other students, and many students at multiple marginalized identities, not experiencing what we have to offer as for them. Whether it's mentorship programs where the mentors don't hold identities that I want to talk about or navigate. It might be study groups where microaggressions are happening. It could be, a variety of things. And so I think we can look to what we know about student experiences. We can listen to our students as they share and describe their experiences to kind of be affirmed that these spaces are critical. They're needed because our students are navigating challenges that really are not that they are not necessarily they shouldn't be expected to be prepared for. They shouldn't have to figure out those workarounds. And that takes away from time spent doing what it is that they came here to do. So I think that there's a lot of reasons. And it feels good to be in community. I think it's important alongside inclusive policies and being able to have an equitable and inclusive experience. It's also affirming and powerful just to be around people that share identity, that share experiences in some ways. So I think it's celebratory. It's important.
Really good answer. Really good answer. How do LGBTQ plus students get involved on your campus, and do you have active out LGBTQ plus student leaders across campus?
Yes, I mean there are student leaders really leading the work around queer community building in so many spaces on campus. Whether it's within the Spectrum Center, opportunities to be student staff. We have graduate and undergraduate students. We have student leaders that volunteer with the center. We also have around 20 LGBT student organizations on campus. And so there are leaders within each of those organizations and many leaders. And then there are many people leading outside of those structures, holding space for their peers, for their friends, showing up for people. So there are people all over. There are student leaders, involved in cultivating queer community on our campus. And we're really lucky in that way. The center has particular sets of work that we really steward around community building and being able to kind of be involved with queer community on campus. We do things like Pride Outside alongside student organizations and our central student government during Welcome Week to just show up. Big fair, lots of tables, lots of organizations highlighting on and off campus resources. It's something that we're really see as incredibly valuable in the Ann Arbor area, to not just recreate things that exist in the community, but support those things without taxing organizations that aren't resourced, perhaps. So really trying to partner with our community organizations so that students can get connected to resources that are helpful. We have lots of different ways to be involved in the center, from drop-in groups to student employees, to being a mentor, to receiving mentorship. There's lots of ways that students can kind of be involved. We also have a student programming board that students join if they want to be more involved in kind of doing event programming on campus.
That's really cool. I really like the student programming board. It's a really nice idea.
Yeah.
So if an LGBTQ plus student has an issue of harassment inside or outside the classroom, how will it get remedied or handled?
Yeah, so across student life, which is the division that we're in, we make sure staff are trained in kind of understanding first their reporting obligations. So the Spectrum Center is not a confidential space like our Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center or our Counseling Center. So we are always kind of first and foremost really clear that when it comes to sexual and gender-based misconduct, we are required to report those things. And so being clear with students that the center is not a confidential space, but that confidential spaces exist, and that we can connect you with those spaces if that's what you're looking for. With regard to any type of discrimination, harassment, microaggressions, experiences of harm, we're always looking at our referrals. We work really closely with our campus climate support team, as well as our Office for Institutional Equity and our Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center, to be looking at kind of individual experiences of harm on campus and as well as themes. What are we noticing or thematically across our institution that needs to be addressed by larger initiatives of education, training, and accountability that might not exist right now? So always trying to connect the experiences people are having with sort of what are our policies and our structures and our training. And so that's all part of the work that we do and we look at. And that isn't to say, that those structures are always easy, right? That it's always that you're always confident that like there is going to be change if I engage these spaces. That like I think from a student perspective, from a staff perspective, I think we navigate as queer people. Navigating harm is something that a lot of us are doing in different ways on a regular basis. And so I think having support for that reality, aside from, of course, reporting and looking at the things we know because we have reports on them. I think there's all the things we know that we don't need reports about. Like we know people are being misgendered in classrooms. We know those things are happening, and so we should be addressing them regardless of if students feel safe in bringing those things forward.
Really good answer. Yeah, looking for like reoccurring patterns and themes is really important. So how is your campus supporting students across their diverse intersections of identity?
Yeah, so I think this is ongoing work as a Spectrum Center, which has had I've been in the center for 12 years in different roles and capacities. The University of Michigan, Ann Arbor is a predominantly white institution. In the Midwest, it's a large public school. We have staff that, when we look throughout history, have been predominantly white, and that is not to underscore the contributions of so many staff members of color who've contributed across many roles in the center. But we have a long way to go in the development, I think, of our programs and our mission around really centering the experience of students marginalized within the queer community. And so some of the work that we currently do and are advancing and strengthening is close partnerships across the institution, specifically with our multi-ethnic student affairs office. We are doing and have been doing a variety of program series we call Togetherness, dinners, hosting speakers that can really speak to experiences that connect to students who are navigating the multiply marginalized intersectionalities in a queer community, looking at things like our mentorship programs that have been underserving students of color, and really thinking about, what does it mean to center those students in our programs, and how would our programs look different? And so I think that that's work we're deeply engaged in through a group in our center called Dismantling Whiteness and Anti-Racism, that has students, staff, working together to kind of set some goals and actions for our center. So I think we have some strong programs that we've been doing and continue to do. I think we have a lot of work to do with regard to looking at kind of the equity structure, just like, what does our organization look like? What's our history? How do we reflect on that, share that, and kind of strengthen our center going forward? So I'm really excited about the work we've put in this year to name some of those actions and make good progress, add them to our website, engage our students, and really, I think, take some critical feedback and then get working.
Really good answer. Social justice, equality, and equity are constant journeys of progress. What's on the agenda for your campus to improve within the next 2 to 3 years?
I definitely think the first thing that comes to mind is creating more avenues for advocacy and engagement in campus and off campus. So I think a lot of like policy work and advocacy work has really situated historically in sort of like a hierarchical structure. Like the director does a lot of that work, or a leadership within the center does a lot of that work. But there haven't been a lot of like avenues for students to really like name how they want to be involved and have voice in the ways that make sense for them, and then look at opportunities to create compensation models for what that work looks like. We have really not really like delved in to sustainable models of connecting students with like advocacy and engagement opportunities through their own voice. And so I think that's something that we're definitely looking forward to in the upcoming year and years to follow. I think definitely some of the work I was speaking to, really looking at our programs and services through anti-racism frameworks that allow us to really be critical of the impact that these programs have had and for who, and really build off of that data, that information, to create spaces that meet the needs of students who are marginalized within our community that have less access to all of what U of M has to offer. And I think, for really digging into a framework of like a strengths-based approach of queer student support and advocacy, and I think, having been in the center for a long time, I think we've grown as a field to really recognizing that it's about creating opportunities and having students be able to live into those, and not all about supporting needs. There are a lot of needs. There's housing needs, food insecurity needs. We will continue to do that work, but there's a lot of thriving to be had, and a lot of opportunity to really kind of engage in work that allows people to thrive if we are meeting the needs that they have. And so I think some of our future is really thinking about our programs and services through that kind of a student thriving model.
That's a really good answer. I completely agree with that. Like, it's really important to also like thrive and build upon opportunities. So what is the queerest or most LGBTQ plus aspect or thing on your campus?
I would say the queerest thing. That's a great question. Let's see. I would say that the probably the queer, like one of the queerest things when I think about campus is probably just like the history of it. So our founder, Jim Toy, he's a co-founder along with Cynthia Gare of our center. When it opened in 1971, it was the first center of its kind on a college campus, staff funded, or staff university funded, staff driven, and Jim Toy does this like queer history tour of campus that is awesome and just really amazing to like be a part of and to hear. And so I think being able to speak to and have that kind of history is probably one of the queerest things.
That is so cool. So to end our spotlight, in 3 words, how would you describe your campus to a prospective LGBTQ plus student?
So I would say that our campus has a tremendous amount of opportunity. I think I didn't go to a really big undergraduate school. I loved my undergraduate experience, but it was very different. And the opportunity available at University of Michigan Ann Arbor campus is really huge. And that means that Spectrum has a lot of partners. So I think opportunity, I think engagement. There's a ton to engage in, both within and outside the center, and I think that there is a lot of support. There's a staff within the center and outside of that have expertise and training to be able to help students navigate their college experience. So I would say opportunity, engagement, and support.
Really good answer. So thank you so much for being here. Please share for those watching on your website to learn more about LGBTQ plus life on your campus. Campus Pride appreciates your hard work and continued efforts to create an inclusive space for LGBTQ plus students to live, learn, grow, and thrive at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor. Your work makes a positive difference in so many lives, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for watching the Campus Pride Spotlight series. If you wish to learn more about this campus or any other college or university, you can search for free at the Campus Pride Index online at campusprideindex.org. That's campusprideindex.org for over 400 plus colleges and universities that have come out as LGBTQ plus friendly. Again, my name is Ayla, and thank you so much for watching.